Good evening, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. Nathan has supported another Legacy League here, and we're going to be playing with an interesting Red Prison variant. The most notable thing about this is that we have Sorceress Spyglass in our main deck here, which on the surface is probably there to shut off things like Oko and other powerful planeswalkers, but it can also mise some wins via just shutting off the one fetch land that your opponent has. Otherwise, most of the main deck should look pretty normal to people who have seen Red Prison before. I hate Oko. I also hate Oko. Yes, totally understandable. Um, Actually, one of the things I talked about at length on the Eternal Glory podcast that's going to come out on Friday is Sorceress Spyglass as a main deck hate card. That was something that I tried out in the Legacy Premier League, and it didn't quite work there. And I talk about why that is. But Sorceress Spyglass can like randomly really kill some strategies in game one when they're not ready to answer it. The sideboard is very typical stock Red Prison stuff. You have your pile of ley lines, you have your pile of things you tutor with Karn, and then you have Scabclan Berserkers. Of note, we have another Fiery Confluence in the board. The card is just a workhorse, and it's a very good card to bring in when, say, your Sorcerer Spyglass or something isn't all that great. One card that is maybe not on the radar for many Legacy players is Chandra Heart of Fire. It lets you discard your hand with your +1 and exile the top 3 cards of your library. You can play them until end of turn. It also has a +1 that deals 2 damage to any target, and I've been told ignore the ultimate. Essentially what the ultimate is going to do is tutor up a Fiery Confluence and give you 6 mana, so the ultimate is not all that exciting here. With that said, let's just go ahead and hop into a Legacy League. Yeah, so part of what's kept me sane during this like Oko dominated period of Legacy is that I've been branching out and like playing some other stuff. And I have about 250, 260 hours into Monster Train right now, and that's been helping to like scratch my strategic itch while also making it so that I'm not playing against Oko 10 hours a day. Yeah, Zopmaster, that's like the first world problem of this generation, right? Like Steam sales, humble bundles, free games on Epic Game Store, and all sorts of other places. Yes, the GF said that I could hang out with the boys for a little bit longer. Whether or not she has had one too many of the alcoholic bubbly waters by the time I'm done, who can say? He likes those seltz, like they're essentially seltzer waters that are also alcoholic. This one gets a pass from me. And she just got a box of like all sorts of like new fancy flavors to try out. You just downloaded Stardew Valley. Well, I've enjoyed having you on stream, Innistrad Revenue Service. Actually, no, you can keep me on as background noise. Stardew Valley is definitely a stop-start sort of thing. Oh, baby, this hand is gas. I did play Slay the Spire last year. I have a lot of hours in that game, too. Second Chalice? The thing about keeping City is it lets me double spell on turn 2 if that's something I need to do, and it also lets me Karn if I rip Karn. And if I'm playing on something like Delver, I don't want to take a billion damage off this Ancient Tomb. It's actually really interesting. I think it's either second Chalice or second Spyglass that comes out here. I'm on the draw, so Chalice on 0, Chalice on 1 doesn't make as much sense as a leading play. I think I'm going second Chalice here. A Chancellor of the Annex. Okay. So we can break Chalice Or sorry, we can break Chancellor via Chalice, and then play a Sorcerer Spyglass on Grizzlebrand or a fetch land. But it appears we are getting turn one. Ooh, but it's just a Chancellor. Like, quote unquote, just a Chancellor. Does my build have main deck bridges? I have 3 main deck bridges. Yeah, we might come back from this. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 draws that maybe win me this game. Do I concede? It's hard with Ancient Tomb. Increasing the clock by 1 turn in all likelihood. I'm going to play this hand. I'm going to play this hand, and I'm going to crack the beginning of the game Chancellor of the Annex trigger with Chalice of the Void without actually paying the 1 for it. That way I only have the single tax to worry about later on. Don't want to turn these into things that are mountains. Not something that I want to happen. And I'm also going to respect my life total by not tapping Ancient Tomb. Oh! I do not know if I like going to 3 there against a red deck that has direct damage spells. Notably, the discard spells on me are actively good for me. Yeah, this is good for me. It makes it easier to get Hellbent for Ensnaring Bridge. Dead. Needed red here to put opponent to 1 and scare them. Leylines are great. Gab clans are great. I may or may not board Tormod's Crypt. It's a tutor target for Karn. I'll have to see what the other numbers look like. We'll probably Sorcerer Spyglass. These are the 2 questionable cards, whether or not I actually board them in. So it probably seems like this endgame card isn't going to do a ton. Our Blood Moons are not exactly the lock piece that we're looking to play. Like, I want my lands to be giving me mana acceleration. So these are going to go. Bone Crusher Giant's not great. Fiery Confluence is not great. Bone Crusher Giant is better than Magus, though. And I maybe don't need 4 of those. They're good as a win condition if I am locked under my own bridge, though. If I want to board out all 3 Magus of the Moon, then this is what my configuration looks like, and I leave Tormod's Crypt as the tutor target of choice for Karn. You would leave in the Heart of Fires? What would you board out? Hmm. I can see cutting the Fiery Confluence. But I think I want the Planeswalker that's easier to play on turn 3 versus turn 4. I think I'm going to run this. I have a pile of hate here. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. You got the Force of Vigor, you got the Force of Vigor. You don't got the Force of Vigor. Uh-oh. I mean, it could be Serenity instead or something, but this is pretty strong. It is Serenity. What does Serenity do? So you take all of the permanents that you love and you put them in the graveyard. That is what Serenity does. I cannot afford to get this card Thoughtseized. So if I just play this turn and I plus for mana, I'm 1 short of being able to bridge, which is not good. Agent of Treachery. ETB, gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. I don't know about this. That does... I don't really know if that's better than getting like a 5/5 flyer attached to your removal spell. I am just going to name the Grizzlebrand. Even though I could fetch, like, name 2 different fetch lands there. I also think I prefer Ashen Rider, but, like, if we lose to Agent of Treachery, like, I accept. I'm willing to be wrong on this, and like Agent of Treachery is secretly good or something. Like Agent of Treachery is kind of cute with Cabal Therapy sacking it and bringing it back or something. I don't know. Yeah, like imagine if this ensnaring bridge was just gone instead of still being on the battlefield. Like I'd probably be dead in 3 turns. Now in 2 turns, if my opponent doesn't play any cards, they can attack for 2. I mean, I guess I play this. I am going to want to keep my hand relatively clear for a future ensnaring bridge. I could have taken 10 damage already. Perfect. Yeah, I should probably change the stream title. I agree with your assessment. Where? Gross. Oh, I also need to change the cardboard live deck list. Ah! Okay, cardboard live should be refreshed. Um, play? Hold? Seems like I can hold it with pretty much no downside. Outside of Sire of Insanity, question mark. You have to develop a certain zen in order to draw the right cards while playing Red Prison. It takes a little while. I think this is just going to race my opponent. Imagine having your reanimation threat be checked by a 3/3. Somewhat intrigued by the fact that opponent didn't get a Cabal Therapy off their Entomb, right? Like Cabal Therapy, sacrifice the Agent of Treachery, reanimate Agent of Treachery, profit question mark. Oof. So they get 2 spells for the rest of the game. And this, like, they have to cast them in order, unless they're lands or like bridge attack. Like, I know I've said this, but like, imagine if this was a 5/5 flyer. It is admittedly sort of awkward if they chump block and then reanimate the Agent of Treachery and take my Scab Clan Berserker, but it's not like we stop attacking here. I think this is definitely a make them have it moment. They indeed did have it. A lot of cards that kill my opponent. No, I can't attack into this. Karn Walking Ballista kill. I do have a Ballista, right? I do have a Ballista. And this is non-creature spells. You always go for the safest line when you can. Why the where? Probably no reason. On the draw, it is worth considering bringing in Tormod's Crypt. It was a 3-2 league, but very, 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 very nearly a 4-1 league. It was a great league. I think I'm gonna keep the configuration the way it is. Is this hand good enough? This is a very good hand. But it's a very good hand that does nothing if I get thought seized. So I'm gonna ship it. Nope. Yep. You love to see Faithless Looting into Leyline of the Void. Ooh, an opponent lost a Grizzlebrand, and I get to Chalice. I blocked the opponent. You can right-click their name to do it. No need to go into details. But like, if you're gonna say things in chat that like turn a reasonable game into a low energy game, just by opting to take a pot shot at someone for some reason, like, I don't need to chat with you ever again. Yep. GG's. You decide to bad manner in chat when you think you win, and then you don't win. It does feel like there is justice in the world. Reanimator historically is a pretty good matchup for Red Prison. The Reanimator players are kind of forced to mulligan to beat Leyline, and when they do that, they often put themselves into a situation where they keep something that beats the Leyline, and then like a card like Scab Clan Berserker comes down that ends up being like very, very threatening to their life total, or they answer the first wave of locked pieces and then the second wave gets them. Uh, uh on the play, this is not a very good on the play hand. This is a hand that's pretty good versus something like Delver, and does Stone Cold Nothing versus combo. I think I'm gonna ship that. Oh yeah, that can go. Turn one Karn or turn one Blood Moon. Turn one Karn is like a hand that's stone cold dead to a Force of Will, so I don't think I go for that. Going for the turn one Blood Moon means I can still turn two Karn. Sorry, specifically to finish that thought. Turn one Blood Moons means I can turn two Karn if the Blood Moon doesn't resolve. Show me planes concede. That is interesting. I thought as we were playing against a blue-white X deck. I think I want to board in one more Sorcerer's Spyglass. Or maybe something like a Trinisphere. That's my starting point when I don't know exactly what I should be doing. This is the safest option in terms of not hedging too much in any one direction. If our opponent is playing something like a Shark Still deck, then I really want these Scab Clan Berserkers though. I'm going to assume that I don't super want Ensnaring Bridge. and something like this is fine. I could board in a Confluence for a Trinisphere when I'm on the draw and when I don't also have information. That's also reasonable. But I think I'm going to just keep kind of a balanced overall deck. Volcano Sharks, Murder Hornets, Pandemic, we got it all. I think I'm going to ship this one and look for something that does something earlier. I need one more mana source, but this is fine. I can throw back one of these Bone Crusher Giants in the dark. Super awkward if, like, my Chrome Mox gets, like, what is it, Return to Natured? The green disenchant. Okay, that's fine. Do I need to hold up Stomp? I don't think I need to hold up Stomp. Very few things that's actually good against in this next turn cycle. I'll lose this game on the draw to Oko, I think. That's not bad. Although I don't know that I play it. Astrolabe does not invalidate Moon. Moon stops fetching. Fetching is big game. Fetching holds cantrip decks together. Whatever creature I play here walks directly into Swords to Plowshares. So there's an argument to just like play Blood Moon here, because it's the one play that I have that doesn't walk into Swords to Plowshares. I think Magus of the Moon is probably the weakest card in my hand. I am just going to attempt this Blood Moon. If it gets a counterspell, I am ecstatic about it. If it doesn't get a counterspell, I'm ecstatic about it. Yeah. So now, even if our opponent has colors, getting like green-green or white-white becomes at least somewhat problematic. I can Berserker and kill that Teferi if they don't have a counterspell. But I can also just kill it with Stomp. And killing it with Stomp is pretty sweet. So, like, what's my order for this turn? I think my order for this turn is Stomp first. Because then I still have a hasty creature that can attack Teferi if this doesn't resolve. And if it does resolve, I can make the choice about whether I Blood Moon or Scab Clan Berserker. It did resolve. I lose so much value if I don't replay Blood Moon. I like give my opponent the opportunity to like play a Ponder and fetch. The issue is like playing Blood Moon is like very bad against Oko. I think Oko's a big enough deal that I have to do this. Like the thing that's big here is that it would get a +1/+1 counter, and so it would be the biggest elk. The difference between having a 3/3 versus opposing 3/3s and a 4/4 versus opposing 3/3s. So it seems like opponent has a force of will and is like unsure whether or not it's acceptable for this to enter play. Ooh, opponent does not have more land, huh? Ooh, we got a Supreme Verdict. Deal. Also, do it again. Feels good. Opponent had that and didn't play it? They presumably drew Misty Rainforest? We have 4 Sorcerer Spyglasses to draw into to answer this. And drawing a Planeswalker is very good. This is not great. have 24 life after this attack. I'm still in okay shape, but a lot of my top decks are now considerably worse. Not the best. Oh, I think I'm dead. But I think I get one more draw step to draw Sorcerer Spyglass. After that, though, like, opponent is attacking for... Never mind, they're taking damage now. That... I don't know about that. I play this, it pluses to 6. Can maybe hit, like, Soul Land plus something else. Question mark? They don't have bridges to, like, help protect us or anything. Soul Land is Mountain. I can just play this as a gain 6 life card, though. That's, I guess, reasonable. Alright. That's the point where I can call it okay. I'm gonna refill on water before the next game. Hold on, Oko is a good card? Interesting. Okay. Now that I have confirmation of what my opponent's on, the one thing that I might want to consider doing is boarding out one Sorcerer Spyglass so that it becomes a Karn tutor target. My entire deck is just like super awkward versus Oko. Oh yeah, I boarded out one 3-ball. Yeah, we can take the 3-ball back on the play. So like, Red Prison folds to an unchecked Oko. Just like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These help a bit. But like when that card is unchecked, it is rough. I don't think this wins. Like, this is like one counterspell or one Oko away from death. This hand is great. This hand is just like absolutely insane for a mull to 5. Scab Clan Berserker is going to go back because I don't have access to red early on in this game. And then one of Magus and Chandra go back. I think Magus. Hmm. That sure is a Jace the Mind Sculptor that I'm gonna have to name or it'll beat me. I think Oko, Misty, and Jace are reasonable names here. Naming Misty so that Mystic Sanctuary enters tapped and they can't ponder on one is like really good, and then I attempt to Blood Moon. Yeah, let's name Misty. Let's try to cheese this one. Fuck! God damn! That's a tilting top deck. Unless they're mana abilities. So if I want to cast this early, I don't want to Blood Moon. So that means I should Chalice on one instead. It adds mana. It is a mana ability. Also, like, talk about rough top decks. I don't think I can cast my Blood Moon here. Oh my god. Oh my god. These draws are so good. I'm so dead. That was rough. Fuck. Now opponent gets unchecked Jace. Move on. Notably, I think we win that game very handily if opponent does not draw Astrolabe there. Like, with that fetch off, Blood Moon in play, Chalice on one, like, we're just grossly powerful. We're going to lead on a Blood Moon because it's harder to remove than Magus of the Moon. The slow pause while opponent considers conceding, maybe? So my thoughts on Blood Moon versus Spyglass on turn one are essentially that Blood Moon uses my mana more efficiently while also stabilizing my mana base. If my opponent is a Wasteland deck and I lead on Blood Moon and it resolves, this Ancient Tomb is safe. Whereas if I go Ancient Tomb Spyglass, like if I have to name Wasteland in order to protect my land, I'm not getting a lot of value out of that. Yeah, but like if you Spyglass and name Wasteland, you've converted opponent's colorless producing land that can also destroy one of your lands into a land that still taps for colorless. Whereas this maybe like ends the game. I think this is a much better turn one play. On the play specifically. On the draw, reevaluate. Like Blood Moon hits multiple different cards at the same time in a way that Sorcerer Spyglass doesn't. Okay. We have killed our opponent on turn one via Blood Moon. And it's always very difficult to tell how to board in these situations. The lists are usually on my Discord. But if you ever want something specific, feel free to reach out to me via Twitter. But if you do it quickly, because I tend to delete most of the lists the day after I stream with them. When in doubt, I often board in Scab Clan Berserkers in the dark. Let's just maybe do a little bit of trimming. Like, trim, trim, trim. I end up with a functional deck that's kind of good against everything, but not specialized against anything. That's my thought. And then I can properly sideboard for game 3 if we go to a game 3. And great. I tend to make somewhat conservative game 2 boarding decisions when I just turn 1 my opponent. Yeah, I understand boarding for combo in the dark, which is like why I'm bringing in Scab Clans. But like you can make your deck like so much worse by sideboarding and like mulliganing improperly that it's often better to play safe, especially when you have such a good combo matchup, generally speaking. I'm considering chalicing on 0 here. Opponent could be like a loam deck, in which case the chalice on 0 is like very, very, very important. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Opponent could also be like some sort of turbo depth deck that has lotus petals or something that I'm shutting off. I don't know. I don't have the correct amount of information necessary in order to make optimal plays here. was also the case during sideboarding. This is like the third time today that someone has just fetched to thin on turn 1. Slight punish, but no regrets. Amashu, thank you very much for your support. It is very much appreciated. I think since I have Bridge in hand, it's fine to just grab Mycosynth Lattice. Maybe getting the coding there is better, because my opponent doesn't play a creature, I just like Tutor Lattice and win. And if they do play a creature, I just Bridge plus coding. Yeah, coding might have been better. Interestingly, I might get to plus Karn on my own Chalice on 0 in order to play a Chrome Mox. That's a line that shows up sometimes. Yeah, like we still don't even know what deck my opponent is playing. Like, I don't know if they're Loam, I don't know if they're a slower depths deck. They could be a bug deck, for all I know. Like, I don't have information. Yeah, but we don't want to assume that the Karn is going to be there for the rest of the game, right? Like, it might not. A Vampire Hexmage killing the Karn would be kind of interesting. That makes anything that I tutor with Karn pretty poopy. You died? Seems like you died. Maybe they have. Uh, Force of Vigor stops working once Mycosynth Lattice is in play. Maybe they're just like playing towards me not having the soul land. So everything's colorless, so you can't pitch cast Force of Vigor anymore. Okay, the opponent looked at a couple of cards and then figured it out. A good old Dryad Arbor. That, well, I guess that, like, maybe could do things. I don't know. Like, I've got an Ensnaring Bridge. No, they Pithing Needled the Karn, so that would not be the case. So we're up 2-1 in this league. We had no chance in match 2. We got, we got bullied. So the wording of Mycosynth Lattice is this. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. And you can spend mana as though it were mana of any color. That last part led to one of the most savage blowouts I've ever had on stream, where someone went, tap Ancient Tomb to float mana, I resolve Mycosynth Lattice, locking them out of the game, and then they use 2 colorless mana to cast Brazen Borrower, and like bounce my Karn and I die. Or bounce my Lattice and die. I don't remember exactly how I went. It resulted in my death. Oh, well, this is the mirror. My hand is not good. Like, worst, not like worst possible hand, but like my entire hand other than combos. Notably, in order to gain access to the Discord server, you do need to be one of my subscribers. So if you are not a subscriber, you are not going to gain access to the Discord channel. I'm a little confused why opponent didn't play any cards. Straight up, I respect it. So I feel like my opponent is playing combo goblins, and they have a bunch of black cards, and that's what's stuck in their hand and why they didn't cast things. Or they were very reliant on things like goblin lackeys and skirk prospectors. I'd like to introduce you to a game called Do I Kill the Kiki Jiki? It's a dangerous game in which being wrong results in my death. I mean, I can't kill a Kiki Jiki. I can deal 4 damage to target creature. My Planeswalker doesn't live, but I can do it. Yeah, Damashu, it takes a little while for that to carry over. Hit a mountain. Um, I don't know that I attack anymore. Ah, they're at 10. Let's attack. Okay, so why is this Exile Zone can be played? Right? So, like, I can't actually play this. Exile Zone can be played. That is a lie. Just throwing that out there. That's annoying. I don't think you can cast Sling Gang ever? Don't think you have a basic swamp for that? That doesn't make sense to me. Same for Munitions Expert? And you can't Goblin Lackey them into play? Like, why did Trashmaster not happen? Oh my god. Bridge? Karn is Bridge. They have a Trashmaster in hand, or a Trashmaster in deck. This doesn't work, but it needs to be my line in case they don't. Not let Goblin Matrons and 1/1 tokens attack. Turn 1 Lackey. Welcome. Did you do this? Are you responsible for this? Because my opponent didn't really have anything all game, and then hardcast a Muxus, and things got weird. Yeah, opponent didn't cast anything until turn 5. They played turn 5 Kiki Jiki, turn 6 Muxus, and now I'm scared for my life. Twitch chat, hold me. Don't really, it might get weird. Like, we're just friends. I hope your stream went well. Yeah. So, I don't think they have Trashmaster in their main deck. Because if they have Trashmaster in their main deck, this is dumb. Oh, nice. I mean, I assume Pyrokinesis is pretty hot versus elves. I'm hoping to play some more goblins on stream. When, when this fellow right here becomes a little bit more affordable, and I can actually borrow it via card hoarder. That'll be nice. I think I'm dead. But opponent's at 8, and Fiery Confluence is a hell of a top deck. Never mind. I don't mean this to be offensive, but I don't really think Combo Goblins is good. Like, I think the list that Eli's been working on is really hot. Like, I really like that deck list. Yeah, Muxus is just like combo. It's Goblin Show and Tell. All right, where are these going? Oh God, I always forget about this part. Karn is being attacked by this bad boy, and Chandra is being attacked by these two. At the 13, you went 13-2 over 2 leagues? I know what you mean, and that's really great. Let me restate then and say I don't like most of the lists that I have seen. How do I win? I need to deal direct damage to my opponent or find another ensnaring bridge, I guess. Maybe I keep Karn alive and get a big walking ballista, and that does something in the meantime. Go for a chump block. Hmm. Repeatable goblin chain whirlers. Uh-oh. Also, all these goblins. 8. Alright, so I cast a walking ballista for x equals 4. Yeah, okay. So this death is on cue. Now Muxus is a problem. Like Muxus plus all of these idiots. Also, like, I can't block it because my opponent can Kiki Goblin Chain Whirler. Fuck. So my opponent, I kill this. My opponent makes 4 goblins, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15. Alright, alright. I've been overwhelmed. Books is very good. I don't think I have a lot for goblins, honestly. Like, I can take another bridge. I can play another Sorcerer's Spyglass. I want to leave this in the board. I don't know that that's actually true. I am probably keeping Blood Moon in. There are a lot of black cards in their deck and a lot of things that aren't mountains. Like, Chalice is quite bad, Trinosphere is quite bad. I find those cards much, much worse than Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon. Especially on the draw. So, like, this is probably my starting point, and then the question is, like, do I want awkward 2/2s over Trinospheres on the draw? Probably. But I probably Trinosphere on the play. Eh. Mountain Pass, turn to Karn. Getting rid of this. And not losing my City of Traders immediately. If I play City, I'm just, like, so screwed to Rishadenport. I'm gonna keep this hand. I just foresee things that can go wrong if I just try to, like, YOLO bridge turn 1, Karn turn 2. Quarter Wasteland is just, like, too much of a setback. B4, B8. Thank you very much for following. And Damashu, I don't remember whether or not I thanked you for your subscription. If not, thank you very much for that. Oof. Oof. Alright, my hand is not good anymore. It is unfortunate. Ah, I want to play City into a Wastelander port. So losing this Bone Crusher Giant means that I can't answer something like a Goblin Lackey that comes down. That's problematic. I'm going to lose targeted removal. I think this is like very awkwardly my line. A good hand. So the hope is that they now tap out for Crater Maker so that I can kill it. Also, they did have a basic swamp. I need to try to play this Goblin Crater Maker dance well. So I think we're going to play a Karn into Pithing Needle Karn. And this is mostly just to get it out of hand for ensnaring bridge reasons. It's fine. It's something that I knew was actually going to happen. What are you doing with that Crater Maker? Blowing up my Chrome Mox. I mean, this port's very good against me, but like now their Wasteland isn't live. Bridge doesn't do anything yet. It could just hold up Bone Crusher Giant. Bone Crusher Giant is kind of like Bridge in the short term. No, Bone Crusher Giant Stomp is something I can do in the upkeep, like Bridge here. Need to get this in play. This in play and plussing for mana is very good. Maybe there's a world where my opponent plays a Ringleader instead of porting me. Oh my god, it's happening. I'm so happy. Oh! Ooh. That's brutal. Yeah, so this is what happens if you don't port. Both of these are like insane if my opponent can copy them later. I'm going to take the Munitions Expert off the table because it is the card that can attack next turn. If they have the post sideboard Trash Master, I'm kind of in trouble. I guess they don't have second red yet. Oh wow, they don't have Trash Master. Or maybe they're not ready for it. I think we're just plussing for mana to get this in play. Do I Chrome Box my Karn here? No? Right? So, like, they're gonna play Crater Maker, use Crater Maker, blow up Bridge, and then they have unfavorable attacks. Or if I don't, they don't have favorable attacks. Um, I guess Chrome Boxing the Karn kind of like forces them to Crater Maker, otherwise they can't even attack this for one. Like having this around for this if I actually get to ultimate is interesting. I think I'm just gonna pass here. There's some scenarios where things go wrong that like I really want to have this card. There's double red, which turns on a lot of new cards. What do they pitch with Pyrokinesis? A Goblin Lackey. They didn't need to blow up that bridge there. I had two cards in hand. That might have been an error. It's hard to tell. Oh no! I like actually feel bad about this one. 2 damage to each creature, destroy target artifact. Okay. Target artifact, red, red, colorless, colorless. That was strong. I'm very glad that I didn't throw Mox the Karn. That was a hell of a hit. The issue is that like my opponent is nearing the point where like Muxus can just take over a game. Alright, opponent is finally going to try to port me out of this game. I think would have been pretty effective for quite a while. That's going to be very good. Not yet, but soon. Chandra is needled. This current exchange very much favors them. I'll take it. Do I Magus here? Or Karn here? I've already gotten my sideboard bridge. Might be correct to just Magus. This port is like devastatingly good. The issue with playing the Magus is that like opponent has 2 cards in hand that they haven't played, so it makes sense that they might be removable. Hmm. Hmm. Probably need to stop Sling Gang. Can't do that this turn, but is targeted as well. Any target, yeah. Okay, I guess it's Walking Ballista, actually. So Shalak Mons is like active right now. Like my opponent can just use activations of this to do disgusting things. Oh god. I don't know if I'm dead. I don't want to do the math, but it feels like I'm dead. Like I can cast a Walking Ballista for X equals 2 and answer some of this, but not all of it, and I need to answer all of it. I should just be dead, right? If my opponent attacks me instead, and then each one of these is worth like 2 damage. Like, I kind of wonder if I was just dead there if my opponent attacks me instead. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 direct damage. No, I'm just shy of dead. Okay, I can cast a Walking Ballista for X equals 2, kill Sling Gang, and pretend to stay in this game. We'll force some decisions on my opponent. Okay, yeah, so they point this at the Walking Ballista. which I will then point at a token, which doesn't actually do much for me. Because they just sack the token to bleed me. I like the play from the opponent. I think if my opponent has one more live card, I'm just going to concede. I'm taking a crap ton of damage here. And like I very much do not feel like I have a chance in this game. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's like ringleader into second ringleader. Yeah, that's gonna be good enough. That's gonna take the Magus of the Moon off the table. My opponent's gonna have like 8 creatures. We're good there. Let's go into the last one. Try to put up a positive result. That was brutal. Like, we're obviously not built to beat goblins, right? Like, a huge portion of our deck just, like, does not do anything, and, like, the single target removal from planeswalkers like this one don't keep up with the card advantage they have. So, like, a great example of that is in game 1, we played, like, Chalice into Blood Moon. My opponent didn't play anything until turn 5, and they won that game. Like, we don't have the best tools for that matchup. Like, we have lots of cards that do kind of things, but few cards that are just like, man, that's real good. Mm. And is fine. Not better than fine. It's not worth mulliganing. It has tools. Ah, yeah. Your hand's not great against that. Mountain Pass, City, Magus. Mountain Pass, Bone Crusher Giant, kill. Magus Bridge. Regardless, I don't think a city on turn 1. If this is Merfolk, I say we have a decent chance at winning this game. If this is something like Espervile that actually can interact with Bridge reasonably in game 1, we have a much lower chance of winning this game. Okay, so it's the combo Merfolk deck. That means that locking them behind Bridge isn't necessarily a game winner. This is good, though. Putting off that Vial makes them much more fair. Force Pitch Force. We got 2 cards for our lock piece. That's fine. It'd obviously be better if the Vial was gone, but my opponent just like vomits creatures here. Makes some large creatures. Bridge shuts off stuff pretty quickly. Chalice on 2 versus their Cavernous Souls? I don't know. Seems loose. Oh, King. Lamb. Thank you very much for your support. Hope you're enjoying the content. Good place to hang out if you like legacy content. Channel's mostly Legacy, Magic the Gathering, and then a little bit of Monster Train as well. I want these City of Traders to be regular lands. I think means that I'm Magus. It also like takes my opponent off of like Cast Lord, Violin, Second Lord. Or like Cast Thassa's Oracle. This is kind of a weird game. Interesting. Opponent went to 3 there. What is it? Baron? Yeah. Alright, they're targeting themselves so they can draw a card. Potentially have access to combo stuff later. And if that Spyglass had resolved, it'd be so clutch. I think I just need to play 2 cards this turn. I can play Bridge, land double Chalice, go down to 2 cards, but my opponent's creatures can still attack. I maybe don't want to show the Bridge just yet. I think I want to stomp this. I want to play a mountain first. I think I want to stomp this so that my opponent can't get a larger scry with Thassa's Oracle. Then I will keep them from casting a future Ether Vial, or, I don't know, Curse Catcher or something. This doesn't do a lot. Like, definitely on the wrong side of the equation here. The lock piece that mattered didn't resolve, and, like, this is awkwardly not good yet. Karn is a hell of a top deck. Just floating ideas out there. What do you got? Seems like they were maybe thinking about Phantasmal Image and then decided to wait. Another Magus of the Moon. Not the best. I guess I cast this now? Question mark. Try to get it in play. Let's just Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to play Chalice on 2 for Paradigm Shift? I don't know. Like, the Chalice on 2 shuts off the Spyglasses, which would be very good, and also... Uh, hmm, that's interesting. Maybe next turn I do that? Crazier things have happened, right? The Four Horsemen. Like, I think Baron is kind of the bounce spell of choice for these sorts of decks right now. What? I felt like I was, like, dead. I mean, I take those, but dang. So sort of similarly to goblins, we're not really built for these sorts of decks. I'm gonna go a Spyglass in, a Fiery Confluence in. I really don't want these Trinispheres in my deck. Kind of hard to get a Scab Clan connection, but it's okay. Consider boarding in one of Bridge or Ballista. I'm gonna play one Scab Clan, I think. These Chalices are, like, not good. Not like my Blood Moons are great either. This is kind of awkward. Like, Blood Moon's shutting off Caverns so that Chalice actually counters their spells is interesting, but, like, I also have to, like, deal with Vial if I want that to happen. There's a lot of, like, conditional if-then statements that make my cards good. And, like, the combo portion of the deck kind of invalidates the Ensnaring Bridge lock. Let's try running it back like this. See how it feels. But I did not, I feel like I did not deserve that one. Um, Keep? A lot of draws make this hand better, and my opponent has already mulliganed? This hand would be great on the play. It's medium on the draw. Yeah, like opponent just like plays Vial here, my hand's so bad. They also have Cavern, so like Chalice isn't gonna make their Merfolk dudes uncounterable. I don't want them to have another Vial though, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm not sure whether or not I'm Blood Mooning next turn. Oh my god, opponent kept a one-lander? What do I do with my life? How do I Blood Moon? They don't have actual true blue mana? Or do I just like play the Planeswalker? If I play the Planeswalker this turn, I get to play a Planeswalker next turn as well. That seems pretty decent. So this pinging this kills it, which is pretty strong. I think I just plus this for mana and make a second Planeswalker. Yeah. This is very awkward if my opponent has Force of Will, though. Phantasmal Image, not free. Like, it is a very powerful clone, like, makes the short list of the best clones ever printed, but, like, its downside is real. It dies to every removal spell. That's why copying things like True Name Nemesis with it is so powerful. Like, when you copy something that's, like, Hexproof or Shroud or, like, otherwise has some degree of equipment that balances that downside, it makes it very powerful. How much longer are you streaming? This is my last match that I'm playing, so if you're looking for someone to host, you should host someone else. Hmm. Multiple true names. Kind of need an ensnaring bridge now. I could +2 this one, plus this one, looking for ensnaring bridge, and then leave my opponent with some really weird choices about what to do with their attackers on their turn. Chrome Mox? Seems like that's a no. I'll go +2, kill that master. I'll play a Blood Moon so I can stop hurting myself with Ancient Tomb, I think, and stabilize my mana. Also takes my opponent off of blue-blue to cast a Lord. Um, then let's get this card out of my hand, I guess. My opponent can knock down one of these two next turn, but not both. My opponent also might just like go to my face and say like find bridge or die. That would be totally reasonable as well. Although they might die if they do that. Maybe I should have not played this because in a world where they just go to my face, it's better to have one more card in hand. Ooh, I wonder if that was a misplay. Okay, so they're keeping me off of an ultimate and attacking me for 3. Are there worlds where I can race? I have 4 damage this turn, putting them to 12. And put them to 10 via Chandra. I'm not sure which one of these I'm supposed to tick up first, because like there's worlds where I tick this up and then I hit Karn, and then I want to be able to plus this for mana. I think I plus this one first and just like let this card go. It's a little weird to give up that value. But it's 4 plus 3. It's exactly the amount of mana I need to do a line that's very, very good. Yeah. That's Karn. Guess we make the mana now. No. Cast this now. There's so many like fringe scenarios here to be thinking about. Alright, very dead to a bounce spell. Not actually, but probably effectively. Nice, we shut off Vial by doing this. That's actually kind of big game. Opponent choosing to go out on their own terms. Believe that I have done it. Actually, did opponent have an Oracle in their graveyard? No, right? Anyone confirm whether or not they had an Oracle in their graveyard? I'd have it in hand. I'd beat that. Helming them? Arn Helm? Mill them for 2? Oh, also Lattice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus for mana. Okay. Is there anything that Lattice versus Helm beats? No, I already have Soft Permission covered. 3, 4, 5. I already beat Daze. Yeah, so let's discard this, look at some cards. Play a Mountain. So if there's some sort of Brazen Borrower effect that can bounce, it's better to just mill them out versus Lattice? No, because they can't cast it. Yeah, I'm overthinking this. They would need like force blue card plus the other card needs to be on top. All right, good stuff. Did I activate all of these? I activated all of these. I have Ensnaring Bridge in play. Good to go. Believe that lag is the slowdown of my opponent conceding from the game, and we get there, and we do a touch better than breaking even in this league. Get my play points back. Thoughts on the list? List was pretty good. Chandra Heart of Fire was solid. I don't know that I like this better than Chandra Awakened Inferno, but like it's certainly worth testing more. Yeah, we got a 3-2. We had one brutal round in particular, but like overall everything was good. I like the Sorcerer Spyglass main deck. I like these sideboard. I don't know that this is the exact configuration that I would put together myself. Like I really like having access to Pyroblasts, but I like where this is at overall. Feels well positioned versus combo decks, even more so than normal because you do have the Sorcerer Spyglass. It isn't necessarily the hardest clocking build, but I think that's okay because threats like Goblin Rabblemaster just line up so poorly versus things like Ogo and Uro that just threaten a huge amount of life gain. Oh yeah, this plus bridge is like certainly a combo. I like it. But I think I'm going to go ahead and call that there for the debrief.